Josh, could you pass me the toy car?
Yeah, of course I can. Here you go.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Would it be possible for you to just pass me that log over there?
The log?
The little log, yeah.
You would like... Yeah, no
I
problem.
would love it.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. That's very kind of you.
No problem. And I'm sure you've got something else for me.
You wanted that drum?
I would absolutely love that drum.
I would... It would be a pleasure to give it to you.
Thank you so much.
There you are.
I really appreciate that.
No worries.
It's nice to know you care.
Crap.
Hey!
Hey! Forgot about that. So, welcome to our C1 listening and conversation course. Today we're going to be talking about being polite.
Being polite, manners, being respectful. You know how it is. So, what are manners?
What are manners? That's a big question, because I think it's kind of different for everybody.
It's sometimes subjective, but I think there is a genuine, general, societal agreement on what manners are.
Yeah, within each different society, I would agree, but for me, manners would simply be defined as please and thank yous. Would probably be the first thing I think of when I think of manners and being polite, you know?
I'm thinking... Correct, but then we have to deal with things like people eating with their mouth full. Talking with their mouth full.
Talking with their mouth full. It'd be weird to...
Eat with your mouth empty.
Yeah.
People talking with their mouth full. In England, you can't talk, you can't do this and talk.
No, I think that's pretty... I would imagine that's quite universal.
I don't know. I hope it's universal.
I hope so, because for me that's an important part of manners.
What about putting your elbow on the table?
Well, these are all specifically table manners.
True.
You know, opposed to just kind of manners and being polite.
Okay.
You know?
Well then, what sort of manners do we have in England?
Offering your help, I think, is quite big in manners. You know, maybe when you go to someone's house and you offer to help them cook or clean up or something, that I would consider those to be good manners.
No, true. Also, the host often has responsibilities, which are manners. Like, the host has to make sure you know where you're sat, what you're doing.
Yeah. Imagine when you arrive, they offer you a drink. You know, that's good manners. You know, would you like some water, a cup of tea?
Exactly. You ask them if they're hungry.
Yeah.
You have to treat the guests well.
Now, for me, it is really normal to go to someone's house in England and they immediately offer you a cup of tea. You know, do you want a cuppa?
Or coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee.
Do you fancy a cuppa? Something like that, you know. I think those are kind of general good manners that we have in England.
So I've been thinking, I think it's a really important question. Are manners and is being polite important? Like, what's the point? Why do we care?
That's a really difficult question, you know, because we do care. That's the first thing to establish.
We care enough.
We definitely care.
We care enough to record a video about it as well. It's a topic that's so important.
Yes. But I think we both also have the opinion of kind of why are they so important, you know?
Exactly. I think, and it sounds a little bit silly, they are necessary for the social order.
Yes, necessary for social order. I would agree with you. You know, I think it's just nice. I think good manners make you feel good, make you feel comfortable, perhaps. You know, referring to that whole being offered a cup of tea when you arrive in someone's house.
It's important to know the procedure of action in front of people. So when you meet a new person, it's like, hey, what's your name? How are you? How long have you been here? These are manners, essentially.
Yeah.
You're showing interest in the other person. That's being polite.
I would say small talk actually are manners. You know, being polite involves a lot of small talk. Seeing someone in a building and saying hello, how are you, how's your day been, talking about the weather, you know. Those things are good manners because you're not ignoring someone.
Yeah, I also think they're important not really because of us, let's say, but because of other people. But because some people take them so seriously that if you don't follow them, it can cause a lot of friction. You know, eating with your mouth full, not opening a door for someone, not offering someone a cup of tea could be like, have I done something wrong? Like, why isn't he offering me a cup of tea?
Yeah.
So manners help us maybe understand the world as well, and they help us not offend other people unnecessarily.
Definitely. I feel like when manners aren't reciprocated, they actually make me a little bit uncomfortable. You know, for example, if I say to someone, hey, how are you doing, blah, 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 and then they maybe don't ask me back, although it's so small, it kind of ruins the flow of the conversation, and there's something missing within that conversation. Like an essence of just politeness is missing for me.
So I think we're never going to find out the exact reason they are important, but rest assured, they are important.
Definitely. So something I get asked a lot is, why do people from other countries seem rude to us, to British people?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question, and I think it's probably because they're not following our rules.
Which are, of course, the correct rules.
The correct rules. Empire. I think a really good example of how I think someone has seemed rude to me was when I came here to Spain. And in Spanish, you just say, give me. Like, give me...
I want.
Give me that beer.
Yeah.
Hey, give me that. And you're like, would you be able to give me that, please?
Like
sir?
we kind of showed at the beginning, you know, could you possibly do this for me instead of give me that or
give me that. Give me that. Give me that.
Yeah, and I think that's such an important part of being polite in English and with English people is simply the language you use, which I guess is very kind of, it's almost a bit silly, you know, the fact that we value so much these indirect questions.
It's petty.
And adding the word possibly and things like that, you know, it really affects us.
Yeah.
And it is petty, but important to us.
Yeah. I think that means we can tell you now maybe some advice that we think would help people from other countries interact with English people with a level of decorum and decency.
Indirect questions?
Indirect questions.
Yeah.
So what is an indirect question?
An indirect question is when you don't ask a direct question, and so you say something like, could you possibly pass me that? You know, that would be an indirect question.
Would you be able to pass me that?
Yeah. Would it be a problem if you, for example? Yeah. All of these are kind of indirect questions, so you're not directly saying, give me that. You're not giving an order. You know, you're making it more of a possibility. You're giving the other person the option to say no. Although it would be rude in English to say no, you're at least giving that option.
Yeah, so you go to a bar and you say, hello, good afternoon. Would I be able to get a beer? I think that's pretty typical.
Yeah.
Would I be able to get a beer? Would you be able to give me a beer?
Yeah. Or even, I mean, it can be as simple as, could I have?
Could I have a beer, please?
Yeah. And those things, instead of simply saying, I want, or give me, or put me, as a Spanish person might say, we would never say that. And I think those things are really important. But something you just said actually reminded me of how I think here in Spain, people are actually a lot more polite, and it's when you enter a restaurant or a bar or something, and people say hello and goodbye.
Yeah.
You know, whilst that actually shocks me a little bit, because in England we don't do that so
Same
much.
for the elevator. You walk into the elevator, it's like, hello. Then you leave the elevator, it's like, goodbye.
Maybe without any other conversation in between.
No conversation.
But it's what you do, and that's actually where I feel Spanish people are quite polite in that sense.
They have manners regarding the elevator.
Yeah.
We
no,
do
definitely
not.
No, but we do try to have small talk sometimes.
The awkward elevator small talk. So, the weather we're having here is raining, like usual.
Yeah. But I also think it depends on where you live, because I know that in London, people really aren't so polite as they might be in Plymouth, for example, or in a small village or community, you know, and on the metro or in a shop, people are very direct and want to do what they want to do, you know.
Well, Josh, would it be possible for you to summarise our talk?
Sure. Manners are very important. Table manners are also very important, and manners make people feel more comfortable. Manners and politeness are also very different depending on where you go in the world, and I think they are also still respected in their own way in different countries. And I think it's important to not be closed-minded and understand that within different cultures there are different ways of being polite, and so don't immediately assume that someone's being rude especially if they're from a different country.
Oh yeah. And so if you want to be polite in English, a real quick tip would be use indirect questions. Don't be really direct. Always hedge your bets in the conversation.
Yeah. And of course, please and thank yous.
Please and thank yous.
P's and
In
Q's.
English, please.
Yeah, it's in our name. So it must be pretty important.
Well, thank you for taking part in our listening and conversation course. Would you be able to tell us maybe an experience you've had, a cultural clash, a cultural shock, where you've experienced a foreigner as rude? Where maybe it wasn't the foreigner's fault? Can we find anyone to tell us these things?
It would be wonderful if you could leave us a like and a subscribe. And check out our blog through the website. There will be a link below. Check it out. And it would be great if you could leave us a comment or tell us anything interesting about being polite in your country.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure. Until next time. Goodbye.